You are not seeing double. By some freakish coincidence, I managed to thrift online the literal exact same 1980s jumpsuit that I thrifted online a couple of years ago, and this became my rockin' Refashionista uniform. The only difference is this one fits me, and this one is a couple of sizes too small, maybe even 3 sizes too small. So today, we are going to upsize this, and you know what, around here, what do? If something doesn't fit, we make it bigger, and we make it fit, and we make it so much more awesome than it was originally. And I'm not only going to show you how to upsize this one, but I'm also going to show you 3 more techniques so you can make those clothes that are too tight fit you comfortably once again. I'm Refashionista Sheri, and I show you how to use what you have to make what you want. So let's get making. So these genuinely are the exact same jumpsuit from California Girl, which was a 1970s to mid-80s brand. And I mean, if there wasn't this patch on and the buttons that I switched out here on my Refashionista Sheri jumpsuit, you would not know which was which. I mean, except for the fact that this one is way too small. So you know what? Let's upsize it. So I have the too small jumpsuit laying flat on top of the jumpsuit that fits me, and I have lined up one side here as evenly as I could get it, because instead of faffing about trying to make this perfectly even and centering everything, it's just easier to do this and then measure one side, and then you just divide that by 2 and you have your measurement for your side panels. So let me explain better how to do that. If you've been with me for any length of time, you will know I usually just eyeball things. But in this case, because they are identical, let's whip out the tailor's measure and do this a little bit properly anyway. So I'm going to measure the difference between the 2 here, and it's over 4 centimeters. So you know what? Let's take it to 5. And then we're going to double it because we need, front and back here, and that's going to be 10. And then let's add a couple centimeters for seam allowance. That's going to be 12. But if you remember, this side over here is lined up together. So now we know we need to divide that 12 by 2, and that's going to equal a width of 6 centimeters for each side panel. Maybe a little bit more. Let's make it a little bit more generous and take it up to 8 even. Let's do that. Okay, and now to figure out how long it has to be, I'm just going to measure from where am I putting the panels in? I think we're going to go all the way from the hem of the sleeve all the way down here. So that's what I got to measure. And now it's time to grab our scissors and get chopping. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut off the sleeve cuffs, because I want to upsize the jumpsuit and then put the cuffs back on. And then hopefully it'll give me a little bit of a gathered puff sleeve look on the bottom. We'll see. So I flipped the jumpsuit inside out, and it looks like whoever owned this just did like a quick basting stitch to, shorten the legs of it. So I'm going to actually unpick all of this because I need some extra length in the legs, and then I'll be able to actually unpick the original seam here as well on the cuffs, or I don't even have, actually look at that, I don't even have to, it's already open, which is fantastic. And then I will be able to just give the entire upsized jumpsuit a nice clean hem instead of faffing about trying to figure out the exact length, etc., etc. So I'm going to keep doing this, and then we're going to come back and figure out how we're going to do our side panels. Now I'm just going to chop open the side seams here from the sleeve cuff all the way down to the bottom leg hem on both sides. So we're going to open up both sides of this jumpsuit completely. The jumpsuit is now sliced open all the way from the sleeve hem to the bottom hem on both sides. And because this jumpsuit has pockets, I did go ahead and just pin them in place so they're not flippy flapping around and I don't accidentally miss stitching them back together properly. So now let's get making our side panels, and because I'm all about using what you have to make what you want, I just grabbed a pair of trousers that were, let's face it, too small for me, that I still had in my wardrobe. And I'm just going to use this lovely light velour fabric to create the side panels on my jumpsuit, because I think the black and fuchsia are going to go fabulously together. So I have my trousers inside out, and I'm just going to chop off one of the legs to use to create my side panels. And now I'm just going to chop out the side seams from this leg to create two pieces. My panel inserts are all done, and all I did was cut them to size. And of course, the pant leg isn't long enough to go all the way down my side, so I just stitched two pieces together with a straight stitch, then a tight wide zigzag to help to prevent and slow down any fraying. Now let's get them into the jumpsuit. Now, I usually start at the top of the garment when I'm adding an upsizing side panel, but you know what? Let's switch it up today, and we're going to start at the bottom leg hem, which of course is unfinished. And you can see here, I'm actually using the bottom of the trouser hem that is also unfinished, and I'm just going to line those up together and then go ahead and stitch this all the way down until, of course, I reach the other hem. And then once that's done, I'm going to match up this side and repeat that whole process. So it is all stitched on both sides, and as always, you can see here I did a straight stitch, then I did my tight wide zigzag over top of that straight stitch, and now let's flip this right side out. How cool does that look? That looks absolutely awesome. Okay, now I gotta repeat this whole process on the other side. So both sides are done and absolutely awesome. And I ended up making some new sleeve cuffs from the leftover chopped trouser fabric because, of course, the original ones were way too small now. And they just wouldn't fit over my elbow. So you know what? That's okay. I made some cool black ones which match perfectly. So now it is time to try this on and style it up. For this quick and easy project, all you need is your annoying, thick, elastic waisted garment and your seam ripper. That's it. All right, there is a disclaimer to this tutorial. This will only work with elastic waists that are not stitched in. So can you see here, right on the edge here, you can see that the seam is here, but the elastic is here, and the same up here on the top. So I just have to create an opening, and then I can pull that elastic waist out. If you have a garment where it is sewn in, well, I'm sorry to say you're going to have to spend some time binging a series and unpicking those stitches. So after a lot of fighting with this elastic, I finally found the tunnel beginning here. So I'm just going to carefully pick out the stitches, and then I will have my exposed elastic waistband. So there I have opened up that waist tunnel seam, and now I can pull out the elastic like so and chop it in half there. I guess that's in half. And then all I have to do is pull it out. If you are a use what you have type of refashionista like me, then you can just grab your little stash of elastics and pop that new elastic in there for future use. All right, you can be done now. You don't have to stitch this back together if you don't want to. And then this is a totally no-sew project, which is always awesome. I, of course, am going to just quickly stitch mine together. I'm already doing it. Hey, I was just going to iron this. for, walking up and down the stairs and showing the after. But then I remembered I have another rockin' a Refashionista patch that matches this perfectly. So I think I shall iron this on. So here's how I iron on patches. Take your patch, position it. It's always great when your garment has pockets and you can just line it up with the pocket. And then you want to take your wonderful cotton towel that you've been using forever to protect your everything here, the fabric, the patch, everything. Then take your iron and, of course, iron it on. Always keep your iron moving because you want to get the entire patch, and you want to push kind of hard as well. And then every so often take it, check it, no, still not stuck, and then just keep going until it's stuck. For this super duper simple, quick and easy rockin' Refashionista project, all you need is your jumpsuit, and try to make sure it's a jumpsuit that has this elastic at the waist. I mean, it's not super important, but if it doesn't have this elastic at the waist, then you're going to have to add an elastic waist. Plus, of course, you need your scissors and maybe not, your sewing gear, depending on if you want to do the no-sew version or the sewing version. So as you can see, I have flipped my jumpsuit inside out, and now I'm just going to chop it pretty much in half, separating the top from the bottom about 1 centimeter-ish, maybe 2 centimeters above the elastic here. So now I literally have a crop top and a pair of lounge pants. And you know what? If your jumpsuit is made out of a fabric that isn't going to super fray, you can totally be done right now. That's it. You now have 2 separate pieces that you can style up however the heck you want to. But I'm going to go a couple of steps further here because you can see here it's already fraying. So I'm simply going to fold down this extra 1.5 centimeters of fabric here to create a little casing for my already done elastic waist. And then we're going to come back and see how I'm going to finish off the bottom of the top. I'm just wondering if this ever happens to anybody else, because I do this way too often, where I'm so concentrated on keeping my fabric folded over nicely that I somehow manage to nick my finger with the needle. I don't even know how this is possible, but I do it way too often, and I think I'm gonna have to invest in like thimbles or something for when I'm machine sewing, not hand sewing, machine sewing. So I'm gonna go grab a Band-Aid, and then I'm gonna finish off the waistband. So now my fantastic, comfy, stretchy waistband is complete, and now we can go work on the top. Okay, so you can see this fabric is super duper fraying now, so I think I need to bind up this hem. I actually tried this on and the length is just about perfect. I cannot really fold it under and hem it because then I'm really gonna lose the length that I'm gonna need to cover up my bits and pieces. So instead, I'm gonna go finish off the edge just by simply stitching it around. So, full disclosure, I actually did end up going ahead and hemming up the bottom here because it was just fraying like insanely. But I chose one of the vintage lace pieces that was long enough to definitely give me the length that I lost through hemming up the raw edge. So that came out absolutely adorably, and now we can try everything on and style it all up. For this hopefully quick and easy, totally groove-tastic jumpsuit upsizing project, all you need is your too tight jumpsuit. And because I am trying something totally new once again today, you're also going to need enough fabric to go from the bottom cuffs all the way up the jumpsuit, over the shoulders, back down the back side, and all the way down to the bottom leg cuffs once again. Hopefully this is going to work. Let's give it a try. So I have flipped my jumpsuit inside out, and you can see here I have 2 chest pockets. So the very first thing I'm going to do is carefully remove them because I don't want to have to cut into the pockets, and maybe I will put them back on at the end. I'm not sure quite yet. We'll see how it goes. So I have my seam ripper, and I'm just gonna, as carefully as possible, get rid of these pockets for now. So to get the width that you need for your side panels is actually pretty easy. You can simply eyeball it, or you can do what I'm doing, and I'm just using an existing jumpsuit to kind of figure out how wide I need my panels to be. I love how this one fits me. Oh, I'm sorry, Guy. This one fits Guy perfectly, and he kindly let me borrow it for this project. But if you don't have a jumpsuit and if you don't want to eyeball it, you can simply use a loose-fitting t-shirt and a pair of loose-fitting lounge pants or sweatpants to get your general basic measurements. Okay, so I have my jumpsuit laid flat, the one that fits me loosely, and now I'm just going to place the tight jumpsuit on top of it and line up the collars and the shoulder seams, the underarm area as best as I can. Okay, pull this up so you can see. All right, now you can see here the amount that I'm going to need to upsize this one. And I have this on both sides, but I'm just going to measure one side, of course. So let's go with the waist area here because it seems to be the best. And it's about 5 centimeters, but I'm going to stretch it to 6, and then I'm going to add another centimeter or 2 for seam allowance. So that's going to take it up to 7 or 8 centimeters. So I'm going to do 8 centimeters just to be super extra, extra loose and wide. And if anything goes wrong, then I have that extra centimeter if I need it. So to get the length of the panels, I'm going to need, I have grabbed an even longer tailor's measure here because I'm going to measure from the top of the shoulder seam all the way down to the bottom of the leg cuff. And you can see it is pretty much exactly 150 centimeters, but because I need it for the front to go all the way around and back all the way down the back side, then I'm going to need 3 meters. So 300 centimeters plus, of course, a couple of centimeters for seam allowance. So let's just make it an even 305 centimeters. So I'm going to do 305 centimeters by 8 centimeters wide. So let's go cut up that fabric. So I just noticed something pretty cool about this fabric I'm using, which, by the way, I thrifted like 7 years ago when I was still living in Germany. But look at this. The squares are just about almost exactly a centimeter each. So if I wanted to, I could just literally count the squares, but I think I'm going to use my measure anyway. Anyway, let's go cut the fabric. Okay, I have my incredibly long fabric inserts done, and they're pretty much the same size, so that's awesome. So you can kind of see my plan here is to make super long suspender looking inserts that go like all the way down, plus all the way down the back. And yeah, let's go see how we're gonna chop up the jumpsuits so I can insert them now. Okay, so I now have my jumpsuit inside out and I have it laying flat on the floor. And how I'm going to chop off the sides here is just by starting up at the top of the shoulder seam, and then I'm going to go chop all the way down, making sure that I do not chop through the area here where the pocket is. So I'm going to have to measure a little bit maybe, or I'm just going to eyeball it probably. And then I'm just going to keep going all the way down and chop through the bottom hem. And I'm going to do that on both sides. Okay, so I have cut one side all the way up here, I did go ahead and iron the whole thing so all the seams were nice and flat. Now I gotta cut the other side. Okay, so because I couldn't simply fold this whole thing in half and use one side as a template for the other side, I then did go ahead and I used the chopped side as the template here, and you can see I, as carefully and as nicely as I possibly could and as evenly as I could, I have placed the chopped side onto the not chopped side, and now I'm going to use that and simply cut as close as I can to the edge here, and hopefully that's going to give me some even-ish chopped sides. Okay, now I'm left with this, and it looks pretty even-ish, so I am happy with that. Now let's go put in our insert fabric. Okay, so now you can see that I have the center part of my jumpsuit right side out, and I have one of my long fabric panels with the right sides facing to the jumpsuit. And of course, I have to stitch this side to the raw edge here, the chopped edge of the jumpsuit. So then when it's folded out, this is my fabric panel here. Like, that's going to look so cool. And then the other part of the jumpsuit is going to be attached on this other side of the fabric. So hopefully it's going to be easier than it sounds. Okay, so to create my length, I had to stitch two super long pieces of the fabric together, as you can see, and I'm going to use my center stitch area here lined up with the shoulder seam. And then hopefully that way it's going to look, you know, like it's supposed to be, like that. Okay, now I'm just going to go stitch all the way down and around. And yeah, then we're going to come back and attach the other side of the jumpsuit. So it is all stitched around the front and the back, and because I don't have a fancy serger, I did go ahead and after doing my straight stitch, I did a quick, tight, wide zigzag all down my straight stitch once again to help prevent fraying. Okay, now let's have a look. Let's have a look. That matches up just about perfectly, and how awesome does that look? This is going to be so cool. Okay, how awesome is that going to look once it's together? So now I definitely have to kind of puzzle this together. So I need to have right sides facing. So I'm going to flip this like so, to make sure that I have my pocket and everything on the front, because that's where it goes. Alrighty, and now I'm going to line up, just like I did before, line up the shoulder seams with my fabric connector seam here. And now I can go and stitch all of this together using that exact same technique, first with a straight stitch and then with the zigzag over top. Okay, it is all stitched together now, so it is time to flip it out and see how successful this actually was. That came out exactly like I wanted it to. Look at that. All the way down, all the way down. It is awesome. I am so excited. Oh, right. And on the back side, of course, on the back side as well. I am so excited to repeat the whole process on the other side. And then, of course, we're going to try it on and style it up. So now you have 4 different super simple ways to make those jumpsuits at the back of your closet fit you once again, so you can step out and rock in a refashionista style without breaking the bank. Or if you use what you have to make what you want, you're not using any money at all, which is the best part of this. And even better, all of these tutorials can be tweaked and reworked for just about any garment. And if you don't believe me, take a peek at my upsizing playlist playlist because I have tutorials to make just about anything in your closet bigger over there. If you want to go even deeper, go ahead and join my wardrobe revolution at refashionistasherry.com. And if you want to see what goes on behind the scenes with this Refashionista, I highly recommend joining this channel. Here's how. For just 99 cents a month, you can help save a struggling refashionista. For just 99 cents a month, you can help sustain the much-needed work that goes on behind the scenes. Every thrift flip, every DIY, every upcycle, every free tutorial can only continue with your support. Join my Refashionista crew for only 99 cents a month, less than the cost of 2 bananas or a pack of gum, and help me continue teaching anyone who wants to learn how to use what they have to make what they want. Don't let affordable, sustainable DIY style become an endangered species. Join my Refashionista crew today.
This is Confessions of a Refashionista.